Hey everybody, welcome to Bobby's Drive-Bys, number 4, I believe this is. So in the last 2 videos, I've talked about Bible prophecy and how I've made some comments that most disagree with me on about it not being the entirety of the world that comes against Israel. But when it says that, it's just hyperbole talking about, you can use hyperbole, you can use the word Hebrew idiom, whatever terms you want to use. But it's just saying, it's talking about the surrounding nations that come against Israel. The Antichrist does not rule the entirety of the world. The Antichrist rules a 10-nation confederacy that is formed in the Middle East. And I'm going to put a map of the Middle East and the nations. And it may not just be 10 nations. It could be more nations, but it's going to be a 10-nation confederacy, the 10 toes of Daniel, mixed with iron and clay. But when it all boils down to it, it's going to be 10 nations. There may be others that ally with them, but all of them are from the Middle East. I've talked about this on my Facebook page, The Blessed Hope. I put a 3-part series on there where I talked about what it meant when it said the entirety of the world. And so I'm not going to get into that, but you can go to that page and read those. If you're really interested in it, put it in the comments. I'll tag you in it. If you're on Facebook, it's called The Blessed Hope. This is going to be on YouTube and possibly, what's the other one? Instagram. So if you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. Help me get this message out there. I'm not making a dime doing this. I'm doing this all for the glory of the Lord. I know I'm not the best teacher. I'm not the best looking teacher. And I'm using a iPhone to make these videos. So, I'm just trying to get the word out. If you like the videos or hit subscribe, tell people about it, share it on Facebook, and just help me get the message out there. Like I said, I'm not making a dime. This is all for the glory of the Lord. My treasures are going to be in heaven one of these days. So, and I've also said I was going to try to keep these videos 6 and 7 minutes. That ain't happened yet, but this one probably won't be either, but I'm going to keep it under 10 minutes. So, that being said, I came to the conclusion years ago, around 2009, 2010, that I believe Ezekiel 38 and 39 is talking about the Battle of Armageddon, not some war before the Battle of Armageddon. No, not some war, before the 7 years of tribulation, or not some war midpoint of the tribulation, but I believe it's talking about the Battle of Armageddon, and which is why I come to the conclusion. There's other reasons I come to the conclusion. I got some videos that I made where I talk about Daniel chapter 2 and explain why I believe what I believe using those chapters. That's some of my earlier videos that I did a couple years ago when I first started doing this channel. So go back and watch them. I can't remember what their name called now, but if I remember, I'll put them in the comments too. So anyway, by the way, I'm drinking, that's some good stuff right there if you like coffee. Anyway, I'm drinking it in my Bigfoot World Hide and Seek Champion cup. So when you read Ezekiel 38, it says, "Now the word of the Lord came to me, saying," this is Ezekiel talking, "Son of man, set your face against Gog," Gog is the Antichrist, "of the land of Magog, the prince of Rosh, Meshach, Tubal, and prophesy against them, saying, Thus says the Lord God, Behold, I am against you, O Gog, the prince of Rosh, Meshach, and Tubal, and I will turn you around and put hooks into your jaw and lead you out with all your army, horses, horsemen, all splendidly clothed, a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia, Libya are all with them, and with shields and helmet. Gomer and all its troops, the house of Togarmah from the far north and all its troops. Many people are with you." And like I said, I'm going to put a map in the comments to show you these nations. And just let me say, I know everybody will tell you Rosh means Russia. I don't believe Rosh is Russia, but we'll do that another time. "Prepare yourself and be ready, and all your companies that are gathered with you, and be a guard for them. After many days you'll be visited. In the latter years you will come against the land of those brought back from the sword, and gathered from many people on the mountains of Israel, which have been desolate, that were brought out of the nations, and now all of them are dwelling safely." This is talking about the nation of Israel. They were scattered in AD 70 when Titus and Vespasian came in and destroyed Jerusalem. They were scattered across the entirety of the earth. And there came a day when the people started coming back to what they called Palestine at the time. Now it's called Israel. We saw the Jews coming back. We saw the fall of the Berlin Wall and the Jews coming back to Israel. We saw the fall of the Iron Curtain from Soviet Russia. We saw the Russian Jews coming back to the nation of Israel. We see the people of Israel gathering back into that, the Jewish people gathering back into that nation. We saw that nation become a nation overnight in May 14th, 1948, when the United States, United Nations recognized them as a nation. And the very moment they were recognized as a nation, every army in that area, the armies came against the nation, and somehow or another, I know how, through the power of God, the little nation of Israel won the war, won the battle, won the war. They've won 6 or 7 wars since then. They're still a nation. They're one of the most powerful nations on earth right now, even though they're one of the smallest nations. It's a nation that's smaller than the state I live in here in the United States. Anyway, but it says they brought back from the sword and gathered from many people on the mountains of Israel. Mountains of Israel means the kingdom of Israel, which has long been desolate. They were brought out of the nations and now dwell safely. There will be between the Antichrist and the nation of Israel, there will be a lot of people say they signed a peace treaty. You can say that. I think they, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a peace treaty, but Lord, I hate when I do this. Confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. That's 7 years. There's a covenant that they agree to continue with, and I'm going to do that covenant in another video. I don't believe it's a peace treaty. I believe it's a land covenant. It could be a peace treaty thrown in with it, but we'll just leave that at that. But anyway, they will be dwelling in safety. Thus says the Lord God, on that day it shall come to pass that thoughts will arise in your mind, and you will make an evil plan. You will say, I will go up against a land of unwalled villages. They're living safely. They've got a treaty signed. They're being protected by who I believe is the Antichrist during that time. He's done hornswoggled them into believing that he's got their back and they can live and dwell in safety. But the evil comes up in his mind. This is the Antichrist, God, and he sets his armies to go against the nation of Israel. I will go up against a land of unwalled villages, and I will go against the peaceable people who dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars or gates, to take plunder and to take booty, to stretch out your hand against the waste places that are again inhabited, and against a people gathered from the nations who have acquired livestock, goods, and dwell in the midst of the land. Sheba, Dedan, the merchants of Tarshish, and all the young lions will say to you, have you come to take plunder? Have you gathered your armies to take booty, to carry away silver and gold, and to take away livestock and the goods, and to take plunder? So we see here at this point, after this treaty has been signed, the rapture of the church has taken place. This treaty has been signed. We don't know how much time elapses between the rapture of the church and the time that this covenant is renewed. But when that covenant is renewed, that final week of the 490 years, the 70 weeks of Daniel, that final week, the time of Jacob's trouble, that's when it begins. And it will be 1 week, or a heptad, I believe they call it. And that's what this is talking about. And you see, when this happens, the Antichrist's armies, and people say, well, it has to be China because it talks about a 200 million man army. Trust me, these nations that make up this nation confederacy, they can field 200 or 300 million man armies. That's nothing. It's nothing for them to do that. But they come up against Israel, and they plan on doing what Satan has always wanted to do since the beginning of the time, to totally wipe out God's chosen people. That's his plan. He's going to annihilate them. He's going to destroy them. He's going to wipe them off the face of the earth. It's been tried so many times over the history of the world. We can go all the way back as far as you want to go. Most recently in the last 100 years through Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, different people. But that being said, I'm going to call it quits on this video. We're going to have to do a second one. So y'all stay in tune. Love all of you.